Jaden Daniels with my first pick.
We just lost like half of our subscribers, by the way, Jason.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Fantasy Football Freaks. I'm Jason. We got Vaz here, and we've got a couple of special guests as well. We've got Boyle and Eric joining us for a mock draft of rookies. We are going to draft 24 rookies, so we're doing 6 rounds of 4 teams to give you an idea of where some of these rookies might be drafted pre-NFL draft. Now, I know that we've given you rookie rankings for top 24 as well, but for the most part, those were Vaz's opinion. And sometimes one person's opinion can drop somebody 5-10 picks. So this way, now that we have 4 different minds thinking, the mob mentality should kick in, and hopefully you'll get some proper rankings. So without any further ado, I am going to, let's first introduce our guests here. Eric and Boyle, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Anything you want to say, mention for being a part of this?
Just excited to be here, hoping to, hopefully my opinions aren't too controversial, but I do feel like I kind of sit a little bit differently from where some people do in certain players. But I've
never ever seen you do anything controversial in your life, right?
No, never.
Brummer, welcome to the mock draft.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this. It's only 2 rounds though, so I won't get my late 3rd and 4th round steals. I'll keep those close to the vest for now.
Good. I guess we'll have to wait for our real draft to find out. And of course, Vaz, we've got some special guests joining us, and pressure's on, Vaz. We've got to do better than these guys.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. I mean, I'm hoping to get some information from these guys. That's why I invited them on.
That's what we're worried about.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Finally, you getting information from somebody else rather than everyone else getting information from you through this podcast.
Yeah,
okay, let's get started. We have 1 minute for each pick, 24 picks, so this should be done in under 30 minutes. Let us start the
just
draft.
Just to confirm, we're using the Tankathon mock draft that I sent over, right? With the landing spots?
Yeah,
okay.
Landing spots. I will post that up so people can see as well.
Okay, that's what I thought.
What the landing spots are supposed to be. So imagine those with some of our picks, assuming that these guys are landing with the respective teams that we've predicted through Tankathon.
And Jason, before we start, we should probably mention that we are drafting as if it's a 12-team Superflex, PPR, and 1.5 tight end premium.
Okay. There you got the settings.
Yep.
And Vaz is picking first. He is on the clock. You got 40 plus seconds left. I'll be picking second. Eric's picking third, and Boyle is picking fourth. This is going to be a linear draft, like in most Dynasty leagues as well.
Yeah, thanks for taking half my clock talking, by the way. I guess let me say that before I make my selection, if this were a 14-team league or a 12-team 2 QB league, then I would be taking Caleb Williams. But I think unlike some, I probably value quarterbacks in 12-team Superflex less than others. So I'm taking the generational prospect that is Marvin Harrison Jr. to the elite landing spot that is the Arizona Cardinals.
Wait. But in your rankings that we did in our previous episode, you had Caleb Williams first overall. You're calling it an audible.
Wow. Yeah, what am I up to here? You know what? Like, I have them like 1A, 1B, or like
true
1A capital A, 1A like lowercase a. Like they're interchangeable for me. And I think you can draft like on your team dependent. Like if you need quarterback, go Caleb. And if you need wide receiver, go Marvin Harrison. They're so close for me. And 12-team Superflex, I'm going Marvin Harrison Jr.
All right. That was going to be my pick, and I'm going to surprise you by taking Jaden Daniels with my first pick. If this lets me do this.
We just lost like half of our subscribers, by the way, Jason.
I know, but This is who I'm taking. And
Yeah, well, this
I
draft
like his
just became a
rush
lot
potential.
easier for me. So
Brock
being a
Bowers
Bears
at
fan,
3.
not that it really matters. It's an easy 101 selection for me. Caleb Williams has been set up for immediate success. I've been a huge Caleb Williams fan ever since he took Spencer Rattler's job, and I've acquired 101 in many places. I tried to pick somewhere else so I wouldn't start Caleb Williams, but you two made wrong decisions. So I will definitely take Caleb Williams here, who has Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, an improved offensive line, and the 9th overall pick, which could be another guy that we're talking about soon. Like, come on, guys. Thanks.
What a homer pick.
I did not, by
Yeah.
the way, I didn't have time to really justify my Jaden Daniels pick. So I'll do that after
Yeah,
we're
sorry for
finished
cutting
because
you
I do have
off.
a reason.
All right.
Oil is up next.
Your reason is wrong, but I'm very
It
curious.
probably
to what it
is.
So I'm just gonna make the easy call, and I'm just going to take Drake May. Like, it's not a great spot, but he's got huge draft capital, and he's. Some people are saying he's 1A, 1B with Caleb Williams, so he's got all the attributes you want in a quarterback. I'm just going to take him right here at number 4. I thought he was going to go number 2, so I'm happy to take him.
You thought wrong there.
I very much did.
All right, Vaz is up once again.
Okay, so there's only two guys, or probably two guys I would consider here, and that's Neighbors and Adunze. And we've got Neighbors going 105 to the Chargers and Adunze going 106 to the Giants. So I do have Neighbors above Rome in my rankings, and then the landing spot is much better for Neighbors here. So it's an easy decision on my part. I'm going to take Neighbors.
Okay, so
That's who I thought I was taking at 103.
yeah,
Bro.
Yeah,
I
we
would
messed up bad.
typically take Adunze here, but I'm going off script again. And the reason being because I really believe that there are a lot of good wide receivers. So I think I'm going to get another good wide receiver with my next pick, maybe my next 2 picks. However, I believe that ours is just so much better than every other tight end available, really with the potential to someday be the tight end 1 in fantasy football. So I'm going to take him knowing that I can get other good receivers later on.
Okay, this is a bit tough for me. So you have JJ McCarthy, who lands at the ideal landing spot in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, or you have Roma Dunze, who ends up in a terrible spot, right? And I know people will be tempted to, like, in this situation, Brian Thomas Jr. could be somebody you're looking at who ended in Buffalo, or A.D. Mitchell in KC. However, like, I think here, this is the last of a certain tier for me. If you're a JJ McCarthy fan, that's fine. But in this situation, I'm going to take a Dunze over McCarthy. I believe in the talent. I think he's got elite upside. So,
Yep, nice pick.
All
Excellent
right,
pick.
so that makes things a little harder for me. I'm going Mitchell here. I think I have to scroll down a little bit for him. He is the last wide receiver that I think has wide receiver 1 upside, honestly. He doesn't have the production, but he's got all the elite traits. I think he's a guy that really at the next level, I think could be a wide receiver 1 and a top, a wide receiver 1 in fantasy football as well. And there's a couple other guys that could be, but he's the only one that I think has everything. Fewer things have to go right for him to do that. So I think he's got the potential. So I'm going based on potential. I'll take Adonai Mitchell.
Having Mahomes throwing him the ball doesn't hurt either, right?
Yeah.
No, but again, landing spot, I'm not looking at that too much. Sorry, I'm taking up all your time, Baz. My bad, buddy.
You got 15 seconds, Vaz.
Oh,
Sorry.
do I? Oh my goodness. Okay. Let me see here. I think it's a pretty easy decision. I'm taking Brian Thomas Jr. And he went to the best possible landing spot, and he's the highest ranked player on my board. So I really have nothing to think about. So it's fine. You're on the clock, Jason.
All
Looks like
right.
I've said the receiver, which I'm fine with.
Yeah. And I said that I would find a good receiver later on. And indeed, Troy Franklin is sitting right there for me, going to the New England Patriots, where he could easily become their wide receiver one in maybe even his rookie season, for all we know. So I said I'm going to get a wide receiver. And so far, based on my team, I've started off quarterback, then tight end, and now wide receiver. So I like the mix I'm getting.
Okay. In this situation, like I'm running up to the podium and getting the guy that the Minnesota Vikings took 11th overall. Like I debated this guy. I almost took him over Odunze. I'm not a huge JJ McCarthy fan, but you can't ignore the draft capital. And if he's going 111 to Minnesota, that's pretty much like a nuts landing spot. And the talent might not be ideal, but the upside is there. So yeah, easy pick, JJ McCarthy.
All right. So it's funny. I'm not a big McCarthy fan either. So I'm glad you made that pick. So now I got to kind of look down and see where I'm at, though. I
40
don't even
seconds
know how to
left.
say this guy's first name. It's but it's Polk. Is
You're
it
going way down the board here.
Jalen Polk?
Jalen? Yeah, it's kind of spelled the funny way, but yeah,
Yeah. I think it's Jalen.
to me, he just looks like a good wide receiver. Like he can do everything, including catch the ball. And like that's the main thing you want your wide receivers to do. He doesn't have elite traits, but he looks like a guy that's going to get a lot of catches. He's the type of guy that I want on my team. He may not ever be a wide receiver one, but he's solid.
And you know he's going to be awesome if you can't pronounce his name.
Yeah, I know.
You're up, Vaz. 30 seconds.
Yeah, okay. Easy pick for me again. I'm glad you guys keep passing on the guys I like. I don't know how this guy slipped to, what is this, 17th overall, and he's landing in the elite spot for a running back. He's clearly the running back one in this draft class, and I have him in my top 10 overall. So I'm going to go ahead and take Jonathan Brooks here, who went, 56th overall in the draft to the Cowboys.
Yeah, the fact that he's going to Dallas certainly gives him a nice landing spot, and good pick.
Yeah.
I am, once again, like I mentioned before, going to go with a wide receiver, and I am going with the fastest receiver there was, Xavier Worthy. I know that he's got speed. I know that he's going to be catching some long, deep touchdowns. So hopefully his speed will be more than just an eye opener and more of a tool that adds to his total package.
Yep, that was who I was going to take. I'm a big Xavier Worthy fan. I had a big
You don't say.
speech written, but you know, not going to get to
Sniped.
give it now. So finally, somebody took somebody that I wanted. So at this selection, I'm between two guys, and I'm actually going to go Trey Benson. I think he's a little like I like the upside a little bit more than a Blake Corum. I know Blake Corum is going to get like 500 carries when he eventually goes to the Chargers, but Trey Benson, I think, is a much more solid prospect and athletically looked a lot better as well.
So you guys both liked Xavier Worthy. I'm not a fan at all, right? Like I think, you're saying he's going to catch long bombs. He can run and he can run fast, but he hasn't caught a lot of long bombs. Like he's really, really low when you look at the stats. I
mean, what do you mean really low? Because like as an 18-year-old, he had over 1,000 yards.
No, you're talking
during
for like
his senior season, like just an example of like some PFF data. He had a lower drop rate of 6.3% because everybody complains that he drops too many passes too, right? And MHA was at 8.2%, Brian Thomas Jr. at 6.8%. Like I think Worthy is getting the John Ross treatment when he doesn't deserve it. That's my opinion on Worthy. I think he's a productive receiver, and I think he's being undervalued due to size. which
Jason, why
I
don't you
know,
pause the
Boyle, we had
draft
this
here?
debate last year with
Boy-
Achan as well. Sorry.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of similar kind of feelings that I have with Achan. So I think he's going to be a guy that you're going to try to get in the you're going to have to get him the ball in space. Like he's not going to be able to create the space himself. So he's got issues with contested catches because he's not big enough to create the space himself. Anyway, I took Bo Nix.
Was that on purpose?
Yeah, sorry for
I wasn't sure
cutting
if that
you
was a
off.
computer pick or not.
No, that's totally on purpose.
Okay.
I like him. I think he's actually my third QB in the draft. I
Wow.
think he's older, but he's athletic. It's a system that doesn't really show what he can do. Maybe he's great, maybe he's not, but he's got all the tools. The only thing that I see him not doing is he doesn't really climb the pocket well, and he just takes off, but he's got all the skills to be like a top quarterback in this class as well.
Okay. All right. I'm taking Blake Corum. I probably should have let the clock run down a bit, but I love his landing spot. I'm not a huge Blake Corum fan, but like we have the landing spots here. We have the draft capital, and that's enough for me to go ahead and select him. He went in the beginning of the third round to the Chargers, so great landing spot. He'll probably be sharing carries year one with Gus, but by year two, he hopefully would be the lead back there. And
If they don't trade him away, they seem to be just getting rid of everyone. Maybe Justin Herbert's not even the quarterback there.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't impressed that much, Eric. So I would be surprised.
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating a bit now, but yeah. Anyways, like still, he's a great quarterback, and they're going to score points. So I'm happy to get Blake Corum here.
All right. That was actually going to be my next pick. So I got sniped, but I'm going to take the next running back on the list, Braylon Allen. Tampa Bay, not a bad destination as well. But yeah, I think San Diego is a little bit better. Anyways, pick is in.
Okay.
Eric,
So,
your turn.
I'm on the clock. I'm thrilled, but I'm a little bit disappointed also because I've got two guys here that I really like. And he shouldn't still be on the board. And if Deontay Johnson didn't go there, this would have been a home run pick a while ago, but I'm going to take Ladd McConkey. Where the hell is he?
He's just slightly lower under.
Yeah, I found him. Yeah, I would have taken it. Like I considered him when I took Trey Benson. Like he can separate underneath. He gets open in zone. Like I think he's a pretty good player, and he should be a good safety valve for Bryce Young. So I'm happy to get him there.
You're not worried that he's a little bit too similar to Deontay Johnson?
Yeah, so that's the one thing I'm concerned about with this draft, but I think he can kind of more play of like the Adam Thielen role since he's like 37 years old. So I think there'll be a decent I'm not worried about Jonathan Mingo at all. I don't think anything of him.
Right.
I never have. So I think I think he's a good pick there. I mean, second round draft capital, you can't ignore it, right?
Yeah, and high second round, like first pick of the second round.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if it will be accurate at the end because of the Deontay Johnson trade.
Right.
Boyle, you got 10 seconds.
Oh, shoot. So, yeah, I like Ladd McConkey as well, but I kind of see him as a guy that's I don't see how he's going to – I don't think he's ever going to score a lot of touchdowns. Yeah, I think he's the type that he's going to get open. He's going to find a soft spot in the zone, and he's going to receive passes and be a great safety blanket. But I don't see how he's –
PPR league. You get a point every time he catches that football.
I absolutely love it, right? And that's why I like him. I do like him, but I don't know if he's ever actually going to get in the end zone, right? I think he's going to catch the ball and get tackled, and that's why I'm taking Keon Coleman, because I think he's going to get throws every time he's in the end zone. He doesn't really separate great, but he doesn't need to because he can make so many contested catches and he can jump out of the gym, and so that's who I'm taking. I'm surprised I was able to get him this low.
Vaz, you got 10 seconds.
Pause the draft for me, please.
We are paused.
Thank you, sir. All right. I want to talk about this a bit. I'm a little bit surprised. Like one thing that really surprised me with this mock, first of all, like talking about this mock, it seems like every player went to a great place and it seems so perfect for fantasy football. But this is the one that was surprising to me. The Steelers taking.
He's basically George Pickens. It's like having another George Pickens.
Well, what are they going to do here? They have nobody that can separate. They're just going to chuck the ball to the corner of the end zone every play. I don't know what's going on, but that was the one pick that surprised me big time. But I don't hate your pick, Boyle. It seems like great value here. I don't think that would ever happen in reality.
Sorry, so who
I
did you
think there's
have
a
him?
good chance Pittsburgh takes McConkey, to be
Right.
honest, as a Deontay replacement. And I think that'd be a awesome landing spot. And I'd move him significantly up.
Let's resume the draft.
All
Yeah.
right.
All right. So the next guy on my list, I think he hasn't been taken yet, and it's my last pick of the draft. So, I mean,
2
eventually.
seconds.
Oh, really? Okay,
Michael
I got him.
Penix.
I got him.
You're taking
My
Penix
QB4.
anyways.
Yeah, it wasn't an auto
Yeah.
pick. I wanted him, and it fills out
Yeah,
my
there you
my
go.
team nicely with a quarterback, 2 running backs, and 3 receivers here. I like Penix's landing spot. You know, he's where did he go again? Let me check quickly. Help me out here. Giants? Yeah. Oh yeah. He'll be the starter next year for sure. Probably midway through this year. He's got a big arm. I mean, I love the talent. So he's my QB4, and I'm really thrilled to get him here.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's
And
at this
with my
point,
last
if he
pick,
misses, no problem. Go ahead, Jason.
with my last pick, I am taking Xavier Legette. Like the receiver, not crazy about the landing spot in Houston, but I think eventually the talent will float to the top, and within a couple of years, I think he'll be just fine.
All right. Well, once again, this is easy for me. There's a guy that I haven't talked about too much, but I'm extremely high on that you won't be able to get him here, in my opinion, come draft season. So, especially with this landing spot, he goes to the Raiders in the 3rd round, so day 2 draft capital. I'm going Jalen Wright, and I'm running it up to the podium. I like this guy a lot. I think he's smooth. He killed the combine, which is actually pretty important for running backs. So that's an easy pick for me.
It's a hell of a
Last pick
landing
to
spot.
Boyle.
That is a great pick because that's probably who I was looking. I had 4 running backs that I was thinking about. Boy, I just crossed out the last name on my list because I thought those guys were gonna be okay. Second. Sanders?
Davian Sanders, tight end.
Yeah, I'll take him. You know, my thing with the tight ends, I never like guys that can block that all that well. Like Brock Bowers looks like an amazing tight end, but like positionally an amazing tight end. Like I think he's gonna have to block too much to just like Myers was the tight end one last year. So you know, I think Jatavian Sanders, he'll probably get more catches than, and probably not next year. I never really like drafting tight ends for value, but I think he'll get, I don't know, end of the 2nd round.
Yeah, I mean, in this mock, he went to Miami too, which is a good spot. So
Yeah.
I don't love the player, but the landing spot is good enough, and the draft capital is a 2nd round pick, and it's tight end premium. It's worth the risk.
Yeah.
All right. That wraps up the mock draft. I do want to take the chance to explain my Daniels pick 2nd overall. I know, as Vaz said, there goes half our subscribers. And, you know, it's just when I watch Caleb Williams, the person that I see Russell Wilson. Like I see a young Russell Wilson in his prime that doesn't play on schedule. All of his throws, all of his big plays, it's because he's scrambling around, wasting time like Russell Wilson did a lot in his old Seattle days. And I just wonder, I mean, that didn't work with Sean Payton as an example. I think their relationship went sour because he just refused to throw the ball on time. And I wonder if that's going to happen with Caleb Williams in the NFL based on, you know, sometimes you got plays that are drummed up for people to get open at a specific time, and you've got to throw the ball on time. And I just kind of wonder if he's going to be able to do that. Now, on the flip
you got to
side,
remember last year, like Cliff Kingsbury was his offensive coordinator, and his top wide receiver target was Brendan Rice. So I think his worst season by far was his last USC season. But all the talking heads in the NFL, everybody's got Caleb at 1. And with the Bears acquiring Keenan Allen, I think taking him any later than 2, like even in a 12-man league, I think is a mistake. I think people are going to regret passing on this guy.
Yeah.
That's me on my soapbox.
I
And
fully
I'm
agree.
a pessimistic Bears fan. So
I mean,
I've been through hell.
I know what everyone's saying. And the other flip side of that is when I watch Daniels, I see him as a poor man's Lamar Jackson. and just the rushing yards alone, I think he's going to have a high floor because of his ability to rush. With Williams, I just kind of wonder, like, I don't know. I just see a little bit more risk, I think, whereas I see the high floor with the rushing potential with Daniels.
Let me just say too, I took Marvin Harrison first overall. If this was a format that like we play, 14 team, 12 team, 2 quarterback, it's not a question for me. I'm taking Caleb number 1. Okay. But I think I differ from many people in that I value quarterbacks a bit less in 12 team superflex. And I see Marvin Harrison Jr. as the like the best wide receiver prospect since Calvin Johnson. And even though I agree with Eric, and there's very little risk with Caleb Williams, I think there's still a little bit of risk because he's a quarterback. But, Marvin Harrison Jr., I think there is zero risk. This guy is a superstar. So
I agree with that. I had him as my 1-1 as well, actually. If I were picking first, I would have taken Harrison first as well.
I would have gone Caleb.
Yeah.
And the reason is it's something that you kind of taught me, Vaz. It's about insulated value, right? So we're talking about, let's say he comes out and sucks year 1. Look at Trevor Lawrence, right? The guy still held insane value. Like even after that, well, he dropped a little bit after that first year, but that was a terrible first year. And he's still like, despite never reaching this elite ceiling, he's still worth a top 10 roughly startup pick.
Right.
So, and I get that Harrison's that thing, but if Caleb Williams hits, look at CJ Stroud, right?
Yeah, right.
So I had the exact opposite written, talking about Neighbors versus Jaden Daniels, because I was going to take Neighbors at 3 because of the landing spot,
right,
and all that stuff that you just talked about. Like, okay, when you drafted Lawrence over Jamar Chase, you obviously didn't like that. Think about people that drafted Kenny Pickett over Chris Olave or Garrett Wilson. And then the opposite side of that coin is CJ Stroud versus JSN, right? Or just taking Bryce Young instead. It's hard to get right, but when everyone's pointing in the same direction, I think it's the right decision. So
yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, if everybody was pointing at Young, right? So last season Stroud came on second overall. It was supposed to, it went the way it was supposed to go, but sometimes the guy taken later does, succeed.
Yeah, that's true. But the fantasy circle was a little bit divided with like Stroud and Young, and all of them had Richardson ahead. Like not all of them, but the majority had Richardson at 1. And consensus, I think, was, well, obviously Bijan was 1, Richardson 2, Young and Stroud like rotated between 3 and 4. So I get that point. I just think this is like I could be wrong here, but I think this is the next like Patrick Mahomes-esque guy. Like, I think he's going to finally be the guy that the Bears get right, and we can stop drowning our misery in cheap beer.
You know what,
actually
Eric?
watch football.
Getting Keenan Allen does matter significantly for me because he does have that elite separator that is going to allow him to have a shot to be excellent year 1, right? So,
right.
Yeah, for me, like that addition raises him over Marvin Harrison Jr. in any other format. Okay. It's just in this format where I have them neck and neck, like pretty much neck and neck. And
see what you got to do, Vaz. You just got to get 101 and 102. Then you can take it.
Exactly.
Okay, we're running out of time. Just a final 30 seconds on each on your final thoughts of who you liked or who you didn't, or how did you feel about the mock draft? Let's start with Eric.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Eric.
I was obviously really happy. I wanted to take Worthy just so Vaz and I could go back and forth on it, but I got it from Boyle anyways. So, and when I took Trey Benson, I was debating McConkey and Wright, and then I got them both. So this was pretty much like an ideal scenario for me. Didn't really want Jaden McCarthy,
JJ.
What's his name?
JJ
McCarthy. Sorry.
Yeah. You didn't
anyway,
want him to say.
Yeah, well, but at 111, like to the Vikings, that's a point where you're at this level of tiers where you just have to take the guy.
Yeah, don't worry.
Or you trade back and get somebody to come up for it.
Don't worry, because Boyle can't pronounce half of his team as well, right, Boyle?
Yeah, really, I can't. Like my second and third, Adonai and
Adonis.
Jalen.
Sorry, Adonai, I think.
Adonai.
Yeah,
You can
Adonai.
call him AD Mitchell. That's what a lot of people call him. So
That's going to make my life infinitely easier. Yeah. No, but other than that, I love my draft. Well, that's, to be fair, the pronunciation issue, that's why I chose Bo Nix. Super easy for me, right?
For
But
me,
no,
for
I
me,
love it.
your Jalen Polk. I think it was Jalen Polk. You took him in like round 3 or 4. Was way too high. That was one
Yeah.
that stood out.
So
for
this
me.
is like, who am I going to pick for my team? Value wise, probably way too high. But when I like kind of put together my board, I've got him as my 6th wide receiver.
Damn.
wow.
All right,
Yeah.
Vaz, final thoughts?
No, thanks a lot for joining us, guys. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot about you guys, which I'll use in our drafts. And again, yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah, I think easily Eric got the best value. Just looking at teams, I mean, the guys that he got at the places that he got them, I think was quite ridiculous. So that could say something about our strategy, me and Vaz, but at the same time, good on Eric for picking the right guys when the time came up as well. Once again, thank you guys very much for joining us. And to our viewers, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this with your buddies as we all get prepared for the NFL draft coming up and your rookie drafts coming up this offseason. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on Fantasy Football Freaks.